Well, Sal Brigman, man, crowdfundingpr.org, and you're going to be the savior for anybody who wants to think about actually doing a crowdfunding program, because you're going to show them how to do publicity for next to nothing. I mean, all these experts out there, give me thousands of dollars and I'll help you get, your crowdfunding site, get millions from, and they can't guarantee any of that. But you got a reasonable product, for next to nothing that people can get, seen by media, people that will write you up, and maybe thousands of people will see you instead of just your buddy down the street that you sent a tweet to. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. And I'm really excited to share some of these exclusive tips with people. Happy to provide advice, and I just look forward to helping people launch their campaigns and be successful.
But I mean, we talked about a year ago too, and so people could see the other interview from, it's Crowd Crux, and that site's really just to help people. So your heart is really trying to help people have successful campaigns, and I think you're, one of the few in the industry really sincere about. That's all you're interested in. You're not trying to scam people out a lot of money and, dreams and saying, hey, you can make $1 million if you hire me or something like that. Here for 25 bucks, you'll give them basic stuff just to make sure they're not missing the obvious. Because if you've done this the first time, man, you don't even know what the obvious is.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. The end goal is to help people have successful campaigns.
Yeah.
I think one of the best ways I can add value is on the PR front, just because that's not on most people's radar.
Right.
At least when I started, wasn't.
Well, and I believe in publicity, man. I made millions and millions and millions of dollars because I found out when I was doing books before, when books were still sold on talk shows. I mean, I go around doing free publicity and,
It's free advertising.
Exactly. I didn't have to pay for it. Then when I started buying advertisement, I said, well, I could get on Letterman, and sit there for free for 10 minutes because I act crazy, or buy an ad for $50,000 for 1 minute. Yeah.
It's a no-brainer,
Exactly. So why not use the media to get it for free instead of buying an ad? And that's what you're about.
It's a little bit of a different technique, because when you're dealing with the media, you also need to create a story that's interesting for them. Yeah. And that's really what PR is all about. Yeah. That's sort of the trick behind it.
Right. No, the average person who has a TV show or a blog or something doesn't want to say, hey, buy this thing or die, the way a salesman would say it. You have to say, well, we have a problem in our country with something, and this may solve it. You have to find a story behind it to get them interested, because they want to help people too. And that's their mission. Yeah. And you've organized all this, so you have all the lists and who to contact and how to get it out. So I mean, somebody doing this first time, it's like a no-brainer to give you 25 bucks and start the process.
One of the really hard things too is when you're launching, say, a Kickstarter, an Indiegogo, it's hard to develop rapport with a potential new backer, and just being able to put these logos on your page saying, we've been syndicated on these sites. It just instantly builds a little bit of credibility in their eyes.
Oh, you're right. I mean, if I had, I used to write a column for the New York Times Syndicate, so and be able to put that New York Times, I'm in the New York Times every month was terrific. So that's what you're doing, getting people in these syndicated places, so then they could put on their website or their campaign as seen in, these major media sources.
That's exactly right. And it's also great too if a journalist, you're pitching someone, say at the New York Times, and they see the name of your company, they like the pitch, they put the name of the company into Google, they see all these sites that have been featuring you and have been writing about you. That's a really big asset too. It just shows that you're interesting.
Well, I see a lot of people, I talk to people who run campaigns, and they tell me they get called by publicity people, PR people. Oh, you have a campaign, you need us. We'll charge you $5,000 or whatever. And so what's your philosophy on, for a little guy primarily, starting out, should they get involved in one of these big PR firms or not?
Well, so a PR agency, what you're talking about, essentially their role would be to sell your story on your behalf to journalists, usually out of their own contact list. And they're going to be actively pitching and calling and emailing these journalists. And what you come to realize is it's really just sales. So this is something that you can do yourself. It takes a little bit of learning how to tailor a story, how to reach out to journalists effectively, create a news list, but it's something that little guys can do themselves. It's just a time investment. So really, I recommend that if you're an entrepreneur, it's a skill set, learning how to get your story in the media that'll just pay dividends years down the road. So that's really the ideal.
Forever. Because if you learn that skill, I mean, it's like, and I believe, I start a lot of businesses, and I find in our country, I spend 80–90% of my creativity trying to get people to know about what I'm doing, not actually doing the work. But you really have to be skilled in our society on how to get people to know about the work. And to me, if you're going out to hire that from some hired gun, it's sort of like, this is your heart and soul, and then you're hiring a soldier of fortune to fight for you when you should be fighting your own wars, because that's more of a guarantee you win.
If you do, want to go that route, there are a few ways to ensure that it's a bit of a better relationship. One is to try to find someone that is already involved in your industry, say that's 3D printing or music. They already are enthusiastic about those types of clients. The other is to structure the deal so that there's some money up front that they're going to, be entitled to, but also based on the percentage of your success, they'll also get bonuses. And if you meet your goal and beyond that, they'll get other bonuses. So you really want to try to pull people into your vision and incentivize them to work hard.
No, I used to run all my marketing that way on television. In fact, I could buy an ad, but then they had ads that they were, like the public service announcement kind of stuff. Well, you could use my ad and I'll give you half the money. So they say, if they made me money, then they make money. If they didn't make me money,
and I think that at the end of the day, that's exactly what it is. A good relationship is where you're making money from the campaign, they're making money from helping you, and the platform's making money. And everyone's happy. Exactly. The backers get cool products, So.
That's important. Well, I think you're great to be there, Sal, because you're an honest guy, and anything that's growing as fast as crowdfunding, it attracts sharks.
I couldn't agree more. Especially in the crowdfunding industry, there's really a lack of knowledge. And a lot of these people are first-time entrepreneurs, and I've seen lots of people trying to scam them and contacting them on platforms, and the list is piling up of the companies that have shady tactics in that area. So,
so you got to be careful. So when in doubt, don't spend money. Do it yourself.
I would say too, a great way to, if you do have questions, is to ask a question on one of my forums. Kickstarter forum or crowdfunding forum. You have a question about a company that contacted you, just post a
That's a good point.
Message there. People will give their own input,
And that's crowdcrux.com.
Crowdcrux is my blog. The two forums that I run are crowdfundingforum.com and kickstarterforum.org.
I see. Wonderful. And the publicity, and there's a lot of free help there. On publicity, you have like 11 places everybody should know about doing publicity for your campaign. That's that's all your secrets. You're giving them away everything if they want to do it themselves, right there, right?
Exactly. My strategies are an open book. And pretty much if you just dedicated like a day to learning everything, you could probably do it, or at least have an idea of the fundamentals. But essentially, my sort of process is, one, you need a media list. So you need a list of people that are writing about the topic that you want to be put in. And usually that I've been using a bunch of tools, but one I've discovered recently is called BuzzSumo, BuzzSumo. And it's a free tool, and you can input keywords. So for example, I used this example before, 3D printing. You can see all of the publications that are writing about that topic. So you can use that to generate a media list. And you can also filter those websites by page rank, by audience size, by how many social shares.
Oh, that's right. Well, you just cut yourself out of business.
So that's a free tool I discovered recently. So the next step is you want to develop your pitch. So essentially, why should someone write about you? What are the unique aspects of your story and your product? And you really need to think about the publication's audience when you're doing that. What's going to interest them? Because that's really what the journalists, that's what their job is.
They're trying to help the reader. And you provide that service too. I mean, for another $50 or whatever, you have levels of services that people could take advantage of from you. Right. So that's crowdfundingpr.org. So you got an org. You're really a save the world guy, aren't you?
It doesn't say anything about the service. I mean, .orgs, I think, way back in the internet days were more for nonprofits and stuff.
Exactly.
It's transitioned a bit.
Yeah, I think so.
So, yeah, after building the story, I think then starting the outreach, and really this is trial and error as well, figuring out what works and what doesn't.
Absolutely.
Going from there.
The crowd tells you if it's good or not. The media will tell you if it's good or not, and you go back and reform.
I've also been, one of the big problems I've noticed as well is people reaching out and just getting silence. Not getting any kind of response.
That's dreadful.
And if you just spend an hour online, you can discover tools that if you send an email, you can track if someone else opens it.
Ah, I see, yeah. So there's everything.
It really just comes down to getting smart about what you're doing and researching and learning these new skill sets too.
People have to learn that just as much as their product, as making their product. Because if people don't know about your product, you're not in business.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, thank you, Sal. Thanks for being there, and thank you for being a straight guy and trying to help people and getting rid of the bad guys.
Yeah, definitely. And I think a good place to start would be my blog, crowdcrux.com.
Crowdcrux.com.
If you go to the About section, my email's out there for anyone to contact me if you want to reach out. And it's all free information, a good place for people to start learning about the process.
Thank you, Sal. Thank you again for everything, and thanks for being there. Take care.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks so much for having me.